Hey everybody, Dr. Rob DeMartino here with Superior Health Solutions. And on this video, we're going to take a little bit of a different step and we're going to actually start to delve into a little bit of what exactly is an autoimmune disease and ultimately what exactly causes an autoimmune disease to happen in the first place. There's a lot of confusion, even in the medical world, around what this actually is, what causes it, where it comes from, how does it happen. And as of right now, we're sitting at around 180, 190 different diseases that are categorized as autoimmune diseases, whether they're a primary autoimmune disease or they have some autoimmune components. But that list is growing at all points. You're finding most of the major who's who of diseases have at least some version of an autoimmune process in it. So autoimmunity is really all about your cells. What it means, in literally the word itself means your immune system gets confused and starts attacking your own cells, your own body. Auto means self, so it means immune system attacking self. Your immune system gets confused and starts targeting different cells or tissue in your body and starts attacking them like they're foreign invaders, right? So we have a lot of lists of different autoimmune diseases which go on, but the one thing I want to impress with you with this list is the diagnosis of an autoimmune disease basically tells you what tissue is being affected in your body, meaning what tissue is your immune system attacking. That's about all it tells you. It doesn't tell you much more than it doesn't tell you why it happens. It doesn't tell you what the results of it are. It's just that this is going down. So for instance, there's an autoimmune disease of your thyroid, which is probably how you ended up on this webpage to begin with. Hashimoto's is an immune system attack of your thyroid where it causes low thyroid. Graves is the opposite. It's an autoimmune reaction that causes hyperthyroid, too much thyroid activity. If you get your immune system attacking your joints, we call that rheumatoid arthritis. If you get it attacking your connective tissue, all the connective tissue in your body, that's lupus. That's what the autoimmune disease lupus is. Nerves, a lot of people who have neuropathy, some people are diabetics, some people have the autoimmune version of neuropathy where your immune system starts tagging your nerves as being abnormal and wanting to start attack them and damaging them, which then causes pain, tingling, pins and needles, the symptoms that people will get with neuropathy. In the brain, that's what multiple sclerosis is. It's an autoimmune reaction where your nervous system gets attacked by your immune system. The covering that goes around your nerves and your brain gets attacked by your immune system. Stomach, there's a few different ones. Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, IBS. These are all autoimmune diseases that affect the stomach. Again, remember, what we're naming is where it's affecting in the body, nothing else beyond that. And then of course, one of the more common ones is pancreas is being attacked. Not type 2 diabetes, but type 1 diabetes. Typically somebody's born with it or they get it at a very early age. That's typically an autoimmune component where your immune system starts attacking your pancreas. It doesn't make enough insulin, then therefore someone becomes insulin dependent where they have to either wear a pump or take a shot so that they constantly have insulin into their system. But the reason their body doesn't make insulin is because the immune system has typically destroyed the cells in the pancreas that make that insulin, and that creates the issue where they don't have enough insulin in their system and they have to get it from the outside in. So all of these diseases, it seems overwhelming, even with 180 something autoimmune diseases categorized, it seems overwhelming, but understand at the end of the day, all of these have one major thing in common, and that's your immune system is the problem, okay? With your immune system being the problem, we have to try to figure out why that's occurring, okay? So let's kind of delve into that a little bit here and figuring out why is the immune system actually turning on your own tissue, because it shouldn't, right? We all have a thyroid, we all have a pancreas, we all have nerves, we all have brains, everything else like that. Why would the body start to turn on that tissue and start attacking it like it's foreign? Well, the answer comes down to what you have to understand first and foremost is your body is constantly replacing itself on a cellular level. So what I mean by that is we make cells, we make new cells all the time, and those cells replace the old cells inside of your body. So for instance, the rods and cones in your eyes, the cell structures in your eyes, they're replaced out every 48 hours. So every 48 hours, you have brand new cells in your eye structure. The intestinal lining is about every 3 days. 72 hours, you have new intestinal lines there. Your liver takes about 6 to 8 weeks. Your bones, your nerves, they take longer. Your thyroid takes about an average of 90 days. Over the course of about a year, the average person will have replaced every single cell in their entire body to be something else. Okay, to be new, healthy cellular structures. And this is just like making a copy of anything. The quality of the original that you're making the copy off of determines how well that copy is going to work, right? So this is back in the day, if you were taping over something on a video cassette or something like that, the more copies you made, the worse it looked. So the job of our body is to constantly make cell structures. And what we want to do with those is we want to make sure, so your cells should be perfectly round and functional that way. And the reason why we want them to be this way is we can have things coming in and things coming out. So we're going to have nutrients coming into the cells and then chemical toxins leaving the cell. This is just like a car. When your body brings in material, so when you put gasoline in the car, you have to burn the gasoline. When you burn the gasoline, then what ends up happening is you make exhaust. So you don't want the exhaust pumped inside the car, so the exhaust has to pump outside of the car. So there's two main components to any cell. Okay, and I'm going to do my best to keep the science a little bit easier for you so you're not bored to death. But there's two main components of the cell. One is the materials that it's made out of. They're made out of things like fat, appropriate, good, healthy fats, cholesterol, and proteins. That makes up the wall, the membrane that goes around the outside of the cell structure. The other thing is that membrane around the outside has to be charged up with energy. Now again, this is no different than charging your cell phone, okay, plugging it in. Our cells have to carry an electrical charge in order for them to work. What will typically happen, and again, another video we'll talk about where does the energy come from and all those things, but for right now, the cell needs to be charged, okay? The cell will charge up. If the cell loses some of that charge, what will happen is it starts to distort the shape. If we start putting the cell together with materials that are not meant for that issue, if we don't have the appropriate fats, we don't have the right proteins, we don't have what it takes to build the cell properly, the cell is going to get put together incorrectly. It's kind of like if you need to build a house and you need wood, but we don't have wood, we have plastic. Well, you can put it together with plastic, but it's not going to be correct, it's not going to be very sturdy, and you're going to have a problem. So what starts to happen is these cells start to get weirdly shaped. They'll start to flatten out. Sometimes they'll even look odd where they don't have the right order to them on a cellular structure. Now what happens is, with these cells, this is what's going to go out and be replaced into the other portions of the body. So now these cells want to then go near each other. So now once you start getting all of these abnormal cells that come together, and these cells start becoming, say in this case we'll use the example of the thyroid, well, once 10% of the cells in your thyroid are mutated, because that's what this is a mutation of cells. The cells have changed their structure. Well, okay, no big deal. Then 20% and then 30%. But by the time everyone hits, say, 51% of the cellular structure in the thyroid looks mutated and not like this, this is what the immune system recognizes. This is what the immune system has on file. Once all of those cellular structures start to look different, and enough of that happens, your immune system looks and says, I don't know what that is, but it's foreign, mutated cells that are not good for us. Kill it. Your body makes damaged cells all the time. It's not a problem. Your immune system recognizes it and then kills them out of there. But mutated cells, now that they're not being mistakenly put there, this is what your body is outputting because it doesn't have the energy to make them the right way, or it doesn't have the right materials to make them the right way, or both. What ends up happening is now this is what the building blocks of what we make our bodies with. And as they're replacing those organs, once enough of it gets replaced, then all of a sudden, now we've got a problem. So everyone always asks me, say, well, what happened when I turned 40? Or what was it about 2 years ago after I got sick that made this happen? It's really not that age, it's nothing, anything else like that. What it is you just hit that threshold point where enough of those cells showed up that your immune system says, I don't know what that is, but I don't like it. It's not supposed to be there. We shouldn't have mutated cells. It literally thinks that the half of your thyroid, that cells that look like this, it thinks it's a tumor. Because that's all a tumor is a bunch of mutated cells that are clustered together. So your immune system starts trying to kill it. So when I say there's a confusion around the immune system, it's not necessarily confused. It's looking at this, it thinks it's helping you. Because it thinks it's killing mutated cells, which is part of the immune system's job. And over the course of time, while it thinks it's helping, it actually creates damage to the tissues that we're seeing. Now, the big thing you have to really understand with autoimmunity, and this is a really big fact here, is that for 50% of the people, by the time that we find out that they have one autoimmune problem, so say we find out that they have antibodies against their thyroid and the immune system is attacking their thyroid, for 50% of those people, their immune system is already attacking something else. Because remember, once your body starts making abnormal cellular structures, that's going to affect everywhere, not just the thyroid. It's going to affect the way your body is put together on a whole. So for 50% of the people, it's already attacking something else by the time that we find it attacking in the one place, which may be the thyroid. And in the medical world, Hashimoto's, low thyroid issues, it's going to make you feel really sick. You're not going to feel well. It's going to massively affect your quality of life. But the thought process is, well, you could live without your thyroid. So if your thyroid tissue takes enough damage, we can just take that out and give you the hormone from the outside. The problem with that is really twofold. Just because you take the thyroid out does not make the Hashimoto's go away. Because your immune system is reacting to the thyroid hormone. Whether you're taking it synthetically or you're taking a natural version of thyroid hormone, if your immune system has tagged those as a problem, it's going to still attack that even though the tissue's not there. So you don't get out of Hashimoto's just by cutting your thyroid out. Taking that tissue away doesn't change that. Secondarily, you lose the forest through the trees through some of this, because if you're going to be worried about the big thing here is your immune system. It may not be life-threatening if it's attacking your thyroid, but if it decides to go after your heart or your brain or your kidneys or something else along those lines, those are much more high-level leveraged organs. If that happens, now we've got a bigger problem, but it's all wrapped around the same idea of immune system. It will be the challenge that somebody will ultimately face, is this autoimmunity. Maybe not attacking the thyroid, but their ultimate health challenge that they will face in this lifetime will be that autoimmune component. So now, once you hear a lot of things about, well, autoimmune diseases are caused by toxins and they're caused by infections. And they're not caused by that, but they play a role. Because in this idea, where we have all of these cells now that are mutated, these places become, when they try to make energy, they may output a little bit of it, but all of those chemical toxins get stored inside. This kind of mutation cell tissue, this is where infections will live in this. So when that actually ends up happening, you see that as a component which will damage additional cells around the area, but that does not cause it to begin with. The cause of it to begin with is that the body starts producing mutated abnormal cells to replace the healthy cells that are in your system. And the longer that goes, the more your body gets replaced, the more your immune system attacks. So it seems obvious now, hopefully by the end of this, the conversation goes around to save the good cells that you can, get rid of as many of the mutated cells, ones as you can possibly get rid of, but ultimately the most important thing to do is get your body producing the right, healthy, normal cells with the right materials and the right amount of electrical charge and energy. Because if you do that, once you get enough of those cells to replace those mutated cells that are in your thyroid, all of a sudden your immune system looks and says, hey, that's us. Let it be, leave it alone. There's no more reason to attack. And then magically those antibodies start going away. You'll feel better, but the immune system reaction will stop. But it won't just stop at your thyroid. It'll also stop at any other parts of your body it's working on. So in the upcoming videos here, that's enough for this one. I think it's enough science for one time through. But in the upcoming videos, we're going to talk about where that electrical charge comes from and how you can actually get that reinstated inside of your body. We'll check you out on the next video.